Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to think about something very important. Life doesn't reward comfort. It rewards those who are willing to stand up, push forward, and challenge the limits the world tries to place on them. Every single one of us has been told at some point, or stop, slow down, that's impossible. But in truth, those words are not walls, they are invitations. Invitations to rise higher than anyone expected. You see, most people stop when they feel pressure. Most people quit when they feel resistance. But the great ones, the ones who transform their destiny, they lean in, they refuse to break. They decide in a single moment that nothing and no one will hold them back. Today, I'm not here just to motivate you. I'm here to challenge you, to wake up the unstoppable force inside you, the part of you that doesn't retreat, doesn't surrender, and doesn't apologize for greatness. Because the world doesn't need more people who blend in. It needs more people who stand out, who dare to push beyond the boundary of ordinary, and who choose to become a living example of what's possible. So get ready, because from this moment on, you're not here to be comfortable. You're here to grow, to stretch, to rise, and to challenge them by becoming unstoppable. When you learn to embrace resistance as your greatest teacher, everything about the way you approach life begins to shift. Most people run away from difficulty because they've been conditioned to believe that struggle equals failure. But the truth is, struggle is the birthplace of strength. Every moment you feel pressure, tension, or discomfort, your mind is adapting, your character is expanding, and your resilience is being forged. Think of resistance the same way you would think of weight in the gym. Without resistance, your muscles don't grow. Without challenge, your mindset never matures. Life will always present adversity, but only those who lean toward the struggle instead of away from it unlock the internal growth required to become unstoppable. Resistance exposes who you currently are. It reveals your patterns, your habits, your excuses, and your weaknesses. Many people avoid that mirror because what they see is uncomfortable. But the unstoppable person chooses to face it. They learn to decode the messages hidden inside setbacks. When you encounter difficulty, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? How can I become stronger because of this? Suddenly, the problem becomes a lesson, the obstacle becomes an opportunity. You stop shrinking in the face of resistance and begin expanding through it. That mindset shift alone separates average from extraordinary. One of the biggest traps people fall into is expecting growth to feel good. They want transformation to arrive gently and comfortably. But growth is messy, it's painful, it stretches you in ways you didn't expect. The moment you understand that discomfort is a sign of progress, not danger, you stop panicking. You begin to welcome the unfamiliar because you know you're stepping into a version of yourself you've never met before. Resistance pushes you towards your edges, and those edges are where greatness is born. Every breakthrough you've ever admired from others came from somebody who chose to lean into resistance rather than hide from it. There is another reason resistance is your greatest teacher. It builds emotional endurance. Life doesn't just test your physical abilities, it challenges your patience, your confidence, your self-belief, and your ability to stay calm when everything is falling apart. Emotional mastery is what separates those who crumble from those who conquer. When people criticize you, doubt you, or underestimate your capabilities, that emotional resistance gives you a choice: break down or break through. The unstoppable version of you chooses breakthrough every time. You learn to regulate your emotions, maintain focus, and act with intention regardless of how loud the chaos becomes. Resistance also teaches resourcefulness. When your plans fall apart, when the road becomes unclear, or when nothing goes the way you hoped, you are forced to become creative. Solutions are born in struggle. Innovation emerges from challenge. Every hero's story you've ever heard was written by someone who found a way when there seemed to be none. That's because resistance forced them to think differently, to stretch beyond their normal capacity, and to dig deeper than they ever have before. That's when you discover abilities you didn't know you were capable of. Your relationship with resistance will determine your ceiling in life. If you avoid it, you remain average. If you embrace it, you become unstoppable. People who fear resistance stay stuck forever, replaying the same problems week after week, year after year. But those who accept it use resistance as a staircase. Every struggle becomes a step upward. Every difficulty becomes a chance to level up. Life stops happening to you and starts happening for you. You begin to trust the process, knowing that with every challenge, you are being sculpted, refined, and prepared for the greatness ahead. Ultimately, living without resistance would make you weak. It would strip away your hunger, dull your ambition, and soften your edge. Embrace resistance. Lean into difficulty. Welcome pressure. Because every time you do, you are not just overcoming a challenge. You are evolving into someone the world cannot stop. Breaking the limits others try to place on you begins with understanding that most people view life through the lens of their own fears, insecurities, and past disappointments. When someone tells you that your dreams are unrealistic, what they're really saying is, I couldn't do it, so you probably can't either. They are projecting their limitations onto you, often without even realizing it. If you allow their beliefs to become your beliefs, you begin shrinking long before the world ever tests you. The unstoppable version of you learns to listen politely but ignore completely, because every legendary achievement in history was once labeled impossible by someone who lacked the vision to see beyond their current reality. The boundaries others draw around your potential are invisible cages. They might sound logical, even protective, but they are still cages. People will tell you to be realistic, to stay safe, to slow down, to blend in, or to follow the traditional path because that is what they chose. But greatness never comes from doing what everyone else is doing. The masses settle, the unstoppable rise. You must be willing to disappoint the expectations of others in order to fulfill the expectations you have for yourself. The moment you choose their approval over your destiny, you lose power. But the moment you choose your dream over their comfort, you begin to break free. When others underestimate you, don't waste energy convincing them who you are. Prove it through action. Silent progress is more powerful than loud justification. At first, they will ignore you. Then they will doubt you. Then they will try to stop you. And finally, they will ask how you did it. That's the cycle every game changer experiences. Remember, people are comfortable with what they can understand. If they can't understand your vision, it means you're aligned with something bigger than average thinking. Don't shrink your dream to fit small minds. Expand your mindset to match the size of your possibilities. One major way people limit you is by reminding you of your past. But your past is not a prison. Just because you once struggled, failed, or hesitated doesn't mean you are defined by those moments. The unstoppable resiliently rewrite their narrative. You owe nothing to who you were yesterday when you are committed to who you can be tomorrow. The world might remember your mistakes, but you must choose to remember your potential. The past informs you, but it does not impress in you unless you hand over the key. There will also be voices disguised as love. Family, friends, even mentors may try to protect you from risk, but protection can become suffocation when growth requires danger. Growth demands uncertainty. If you're always safe, you're never evolving. To break limits, you must become comfortable with discomfort. You must learn to walk alone at times, holding steady when no one sees the vision but you. Loneliness is not a sign you're on the wrong path. Often, it's confirmation that you're on the rare path. Breaking limits doesn't mean proving people wrong just to spite them. It means proving yourself right. Focus on your internal voice, the whisper that tells you you're capable of more. Strengthen that voice daily through discipline, habits, and courage. Others can influence your direction only if you give them the map. Take ownership of your decisions, your mindset, and your energy. Your life is not a democracy. You are the author, not the audience. When you break limits placed on you, something incredible happens. You show others what's possible for themselves. Your courage becomes a blueprint. Your success becomes permission. People start challenging their own boundaries because you challenged yours first. That is how unstoppable individuals shift culture and create momentum bigger than themselves. So refuse to be labeled. Reject the ceilings others place above you. When someone says, you can't, here, you must. Every time you shatter a limit, you expand the territory where you can operate freely. Eventually, there are no walls left to break. Just endless possibility. And that's when you no longer challenge limits, you redefine them. Turning fear into fuel begins with recognizing that fear is not your enemy, it's a messenger. It's the emotion that shows up whenever you're on the edge of something significant, something unfamiliar, something that has the power to transform your life. Most people interpret that signal as a stop sign. They feel fear and retreat, but unstoppable people see fear differently. They see it as a green light, a sign that they are moving towards something meaningful. Fear reveals where your greatest opportunities are hidden. It points toward growth. If you avoid the things you fear, you avoid the very experiences that would elevate you into your strongest self. Fear becomes destructive only when you allow it to control your decisions. It feeds on hesitation and uncertainty. The more you let fear dictate your actions, the stronger it becomes. But the moment you take action despite feeling scared, fear begins to shrink. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear. Courage means moving forward in the presence of fear. Every breakthrough in your life will require you to act before you feel ready. And when you do, you send a powerful message to your brain. I am in control, not my fear. That shift alone rewires your identity. You stop identifying as someone who avoids challenge and start identifying as someone who overcomes it. There are two types of fear, rational fear and irrational fear. Rational fear keeps you alive. It stops you from walking into traffic or jumping off cliffs. Irrational fear, however, is the quiet assassin of dreams. It whispers things like, what will they think of you? What if you fail? Who do you think you are? That fear is rooted in ego and insecurity. It creates imaginary walls that feel real but are nothing more than thoughts. Unstoppable people learn to challenge those thoughts. They ask questions like, is this fear protecting me or preventing me? That level of awareness allows you to separate truth from illusion. When you turn fear into fuel, you start using the energy behind fear as motivation. Fear is adrenaline. It heightens focus. It sharpens decision making. It speeds up reaction time. Instead of letting that energy paralyze you, channel it. Use fear to push you harder at the gym, to speak when your voice shakes, to launch the idea you've been sitting on, to walk into rooms where you feel unqualified. Often, the reason fear shows up is because you're expanding your capacity. It's simply the brain's way of signaling that you're stepping outside your comfort zone. But remember, everything you want lives outside that zone. Comfort is the cage, fear is the compass. Fear also forces you to prepare. When you're afraid of failure, you study more, practice harder, refine your skills, and tighten your habits. Fear can either paralyze you or polish you. The difference lies in how you respond. The unstoppable version of you chooses to let fear drive self-improvement rather than self-defeat. Think of every great athlete, performer, or leader. They all feel fear. The difference is they harness it. They train with urgency because they refuse to be defeated by hesitation. One of the most powerful strategies for turning fear into fuel is exposure. The more you face what scares you, the less intimidating it becomes. At first, stepping into fear feels terrifying, but after repetition, the fear loses its power. Public speaking, risk, taking leadership, creativity. These are muscles, and like any muscle, they get stronger through use. Avoidance keeps fear alive, exposure kills it. At the root of fear is often the fear of judgment. We worry about how others perceive us, but understand this: people are too busy worrying about themselves to truly care about your failures. And those who judge loudly are usually projecting their own insecurities. Free yourself from that mental prison. When you stop living for the approval of others, fear loses one of its strongest weapons. Ultimately, the goal is not to eliminate fear. That's impossible. The goal is to change your relationship with it. When fear arrives, instead of asking, "What if something goes wrong?" ask, "What if this leads to everything I've ever wanted?" Fear is the gatekeeper of your next level. By learning to run toward it, you unlock potential you didn't even know existed. And that is how you become truly unstoppable. Committing to relentless self-discipline is the difference between people who dream and people who achieve. Motivation feels good, but it's not dependable. Comes and goes like the weather. Discipline, on the other hand, is the quiet force that shows up whether you feel like it or not. It's the voice that says, get up, get moving, do the work. When you rely only on motivation, you'll work hard on your best days and disappear on your worst days. But when discipline becomes your standard, you show up regardless of mood, excuses, or circumstances. That consistency compounds over time, turning ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Self-discipline begins with deciding who you want to become. When you have a compelling vision, it becomes easier to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term greatness. People who lack discipline often chase what feels good right now: a distraction, a break, a moment of ease. But unstoppable individuals are willing to delay gratification. They see beyond the moment. They understand that success is built on thousands of small decisions no one sees. Every time you choose self-control over temptation, you strengthen your identity. You stop being someone who tries and start being someone who executes. Real discipline requires structure. Without a routine, your mind becomes chaotic. Without standards, your energy becomes scattered. When you create daily habits, waking up early, training your body, learning new skills, focusing on meaningful work, those habits eventually operate on autopilot. What once required effort becomes normal. The unstoppable version of you doesn't rely on willpower. You rely on systems. You build your environment to support your goals, not sabotage them, because you cannot rise consistently in an environment designed to keep you average. But discipline isn't glamorous. It's not loud or flashy. It's waking up when you're tired, working when you're uninspired, and pushing forward when no one claps for you. Most people quit because they thought progress would always feel exciting, but true progress is often boring. It's repetition, it's routine, it's doing the same behaviors every day until results show. And while others look for shortcuts, the discipline keep grinding. That's why they succeed, not because they are more talented, but because they are more consistent. There will be moments when discipline feels exhausting. You'll doubt whether the effort is worth it. That's normal. But those moments are crossroads. You either fall back into comfort or break through into growth. Discipline is a decision you must renew daily. It's not something you master once. It's something you recommit to over and over again. The difference between winners and everyone else is not that winners never feel like quitting. It's that they don't negotiate with their excuses. One of the greatest benefits of discipline is confidence. When you follow through on your commitments, you build trust with yourself. You begin to believe your own promises. Most people lack confidence because they constantly break agreements with themselves. They say they'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Discipline repairs that. It creates inner certainty. You stop hoping you'll succeed and start knowing you will because your actions prove it. Discipline also protects your energy. It teaches you to say no to distractions, no to toxic people, no to habits that waste your potential. Every yes to something meaningless is a no to something important. The unstoppable person becomes ruthless about focus. You guard your time because you know time is the currency of achievement. You stop letting random impulses dictate your destiny. Ultimately, discipline is freedom. While others are controlled by impulses, addictions, and inconsistency, disciplined individuals are free to create the life they choose. They achieve their goals not through luck, but through steady, deliberate actions taken long before anyone noticed. When you commit to relentless self-discipline, you are no longer a victim of circumstance. You become the architect of your life. And that is what makes you truly unstoppable. Surrounding yourself with growth-driven people is one of the most powerful decisions you will ever make because your environment silently shapes who you become. Human beings are naturally influenced by the attitudes, habits, beliefs, and energy of the people around them. Whether you realize it or not, you absorb their mindset. If you spend time with people who complain, settle, and constantly avoid challenges, you will begin to mirror those behaviors. On the other hand, when you surround yourself with individuals who push limits, chase progress, and refuse to quit, you naturally elevate your standards. Success is contagious, but so is mediocrity. You must choose wisely which one you allow into your life. Growth-driven people challenge you in ways that complacent people never will. They remind you what you're capable of when you forget. They push you to level up when you start to settle. They are not impressed with your excuses because they hold themselves to high standards as well. These are the relationships that sharpen you mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. When someone around you is always improving, reading, training, learning, taking bold action, it forces you to ask yourself, am I doing enough? That question alone can redirect the course of your life. Iron sharpens iron. You grow faster when you're surrounded by others who are growing too. But growth-driven people will not always tell you what you want to hear. They will tell you what you need to hear. They give honest feedback because they want to see you win, not because they want to comfort your ego. A weak circle praises your comfort zones. A strong circle challenges them. Sometimes the most loving thing someone can do is demand better from you. These are the people who hold you accountable when you want to give up, not because they're hard on you, but because they see the potential you might be ignoring. One of the biggest mistakes people make is holding on to friendships that fit their old identity. As you grow, you will evolve. Your interests, values, and goals will change. Some people will not grow with you. They will be intimidated by your progress because it highlights their lack of effort. They will try to pull you back to who you used to be. This is not cruelty. It's insecurity. You must love people from a distance when their presence drains your ambition. There are relationships meant for a chapter, not the entire story. To intentionally surround yourself with growth-driven individuals, you must first become one. High-value circles are attracted to high-value behaviors, discipline, integrity, humility, hunger, and consistency. You cannot expect to sit at a powerful table if you're unwilling to put in powerful work. When you elevate yourself, you earn access. Growth is not just about what others offer you. It's about what you contribute. Bring energy, ideas, support, and positivity. Be someone who adds value, not drama. Seek mentors who are where you want to be. Study their habits, their decisions, their mindset. A mentor can compress decades of wisdom into minutes of advice, saving you years of pain. But don't just listen. Implement. Masterminds, workshops, online communities, books, and networking events are all pathways to new environments. Every powerful shift in your life will begin with a decision to change the room you're standing in. Growth-driven people don't compete with each other in jealousy. They compete through inspiration. When someone in your circle wins, it doesn't threaten you. It motivates you. You're not trying to be better than them. You're trying to be better than who you were yesterday. Together, you create a culture of excellence. You celebrate each other's victories and learn from each other's failures. There is no envy because everyone is focused on evolution. In the end, your circle will either stretch you or shrink you. They will either multiply your potential or divide it. When you surround yourself with growth-driven people, you are continuously reminded that greatness is normal, not rare. You inherit their energy, adopt their focus, and model their habits. In that environment, becoming unstoppable doesn't feel like a distant dream. It feels like the natural next step. Mastering the power of daily progress is perhaps the most underestimated force behind becoming unstoppable. Most people wait for perfect moments, big breaks, or sudden bursts of motivation before they take action. They fantasize about dramatic transformations and overnight success, but greatness is rarely built in leaps. It's built in steps. Small actions repeated consistently create massive change over time. When you commit to improving just a little bit every single day, you are compounding your growth. Like interest in a bank account, small investments made consistently generate exponential returns that shock everyone watching. Daily progress starts with shifting your focus from intensity to consistency. Anyone can push hard for a day. Anyone can be motivated for a week. But truly unstoppable individuals show up every day, especially on the days when they don't feel like it. It's easy to work when your inspired discipline is proven, when inspiration disappears. When you understand that every tiny effort counts, you stop underestimating your actions just because they don't deliver instant results. Progress is invisible before it becomes undeniable. When you commit to daily growth, you erase the illusion of perfection. You no longer wait until you have more time, more confidence, or better circumstances. You stop telling yourself that you'll start tomorrow. Instead, you embrace the truth that action creates clarity. By doing something, anything, you generate momentum. And momentum is the fuel of achievement. Once you get moving, staying in motion becomes easier than staying stuck. It's the first step that's hardest, but daily repetition makes that first step automatic. Daily progress also builds the habit of self-respect. Every time you honor your commitments to yourself, you strengthen your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who quits and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. This identity shift is incredibly powerful. When you believe you are capable, when your actions prove your intentions, confidence becomes a natural byproduct. You no longer need external validation because your daily progress validates you internally. Another advantage of daily progress is that it eliminates overwhelm. Big goals can feel intimidating when you stare at them as a single mountain, but when you break them down into daily actions, that mountain becomes a series of manageable steps. Suddenly, achieving the impossible becomes realistic. You don't have to climb the entire mountain today. You just have to take one solid step forward. That perspective keeps you calm, focused, and consistent. When others are paralyzed by fear of the big picture, you move steadily and confidently through the process. Daily progress also teaches you to appreciate the journey. Growth becomes enjoyable when you notice yourself improving, even in small ways. You learn to celebrate tiny milestones that others overlook. This creates positive reinforcement, making you more likely to continue. You start waking up with purpose because you can feel yourself evolving. Progress becomes your addiction, not distraction, not comfort, not comparison. It's important to track your progress daily. What gets measured gets improved. Whether you journal, create checklists, or reflect mentally, documenting your steps forces you to stay accountable. It helps you recognize patterns, the habits that move you forward and the ones that hold you back. When you can see data, you can adjust intelligently. You stop guessing and start strategizing. The truth is, daily progress builds the foundation of mastery. You can't become great at anything by showing up occasionally. Excellence demands repetition, hundreds of hours of practice, failed attempts, refinements, and breakthroughs. Every master once started as a beginner who simply refused to stop. Daily progress separates those who wish from those who win. In time, people will wonder how you became so skilled, confident, and successful. They'll call you lucky or gifted because they never saw the thousands of small steps you took when no one else was watching. But you will know the truth. Your greatness was built quietly, consistently, and intentionally. When you dedicate yourself to daily progress, you become unstoppable, not because of one giant push, but because nothing can stop the momentum you've built. You become like a force of nature, steady, powerful, and inevitable. Eventually, daily progress doesn't just change your habits, it changes your identity and your destiny.